Hello, everyone, and welcome. Insider Dave Spadaro with you. And look, the Eagles have to win. The Giants coming to town, the first of 3 NFC East games. So if the Eagles are going to make that push for the playoffs that we've all been expecting, it starts Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. We've got a great show for you. We take you off the field to learn more about the Philadelphia Eagles. We've got some safety talk in the show. We begin with Rodney McLeod, a little conversation with Rodney, who is a great player on the field. He's been hurt, but when he gets off the field, he likes to look good, and he likes to make you look good. We take a look at Rodney McLeod and his clothing line in his store in Potomac, Maryland. We begin the show with a look at Malcolm Jenkins, and what a rise to stardom for Malcolm. From New Jersey to Columbus, Ohio, to New Orleans, and now Philadelphia. It's Malcolm Jenkins, Gold Go.
Malcolm was our fat baby. He was a big, fat butterball baby. I remember when he first started walking, we were in Piscataway in a small apartment, and it was like a racetrack for him. From the time we got home until eventually he just passed out, all he did was just run up and down around the kitchen. It's like a track he had, and he'd just run until he just, couldn't run anymore.
So we can go out and eat somewhere. We got a lot of private jokes this year. Lisa, Angela, Pamela, Renee.
Grew up in Piscataway, New Jersey, middle-class town, the oldest of 3 boys. We did normal things like play football in the streets. So when all my friends who usually been playing football in the streets at that point, all of us got signed up to play, organized football, Pop Warner, and I hated it. And practice was, hard. I didn't understand why my coaches were yelling at me and making me take laps. I didn't enjoy it. During the games, I would only get the 7 mandatory plays that every kid has to get, and then I would get out. So my favorite part of game day was when the game was over, getting my free hot dog and juice at the concession stand.
I had to explain to them, you're not going to be very good your first year, and they weren't. They were terrible.
Malcolm wanted to quit early on. His father kind of took him back in, didn't want him to quit. I don't think he really thought highly of himself in terms of the potential he had early on.
I remember with Pop Warner, I had a coach that just flat out told me I'd never be any good. And it wasn't until I was in the 6th grade that I started enjoying it a little bit. I played defensive end, and I think 7th grade I moved to linebacker, and then by the 8th grade I was playing running back and linebacker. And at that point I started growing a little bit and started understanding the game a little bit more.
And it was funny for me because it was like he was resisting playing for some time, and then all of a sudden it clicked and he enjoyed it.
You could tell when it started to click, he just became a tackling machine. Literally every tackle he would make. And then on offense, he's playing running back. So when he got it, that's when, everything started to blossom.
Last year, right? Congratulations.
I heard when he was younger that he was a good player in Pop Warner. There's no doubt about that. But this town has been blessed with a lot of talent, so I wasn't especially thinking I got an NFL player coming. I just thought, all right, another good player I'm looking forward to having. Actually, in freshman year, he really couldn't get on the field much other than special teams, and that became his way of making plays and doing what he did best. When he was a sophomore here, there were several Division I players, and every single day in practice, he was trying to prove that he was better than them. It's that super competitiveness, that intensity level that he had, but it's also intelligence. Malcolm knew every single thing. We do walkthroughs, and he'd be telling us anything that we missed on walkthroughs. You can't put a cap on how far you can go when you have some talent, the conviction of doing the work necessary, and that competitiveness where he would just want to go against the very best all the time and prove who he was on every single play. It's always chip on the shoulder, work hard, study so I'm ready and totally prepared, and then bring it on, because whoever is coming at me, I'm gonna take you out. Back then, there wasn't the recruiting services that exist today, so he wasn't a guy that we had every school in the country coming here for.
I never even considered myself good enough to play college ball. I just loved the game and played just to play it. At that point in time, Rutgers University, that was the only school that offered me, and they're literally 5 minutes away from where I played. My aunt moved to Westerville, Ohio, and we decided we were gonna go visit her for 2 weeks. And so while we were there, just to give us something to do, my parents put me and my brother to Ohio State's football camp.
At this point, he wasn't getting noticed. Ohio State was one of the teams that they weren't initially interested in. They didn't know about him.
You know, it's like, what could the kids do while we're there? Ohio State is 10 minutes from my sister's house. Okay, sign them up.
It was really good fortune for Ohio State that Malcolm Jenkins came to our summer youth camp. Unannounced, we had probably 4,000 kids over the course of 3 weeks, kids running all over the place. Well, one of the coaches grabbed me and said, "Hey, you got to come over and watch this guy." I said, "Well, who is he?" Because there were a lot of guys we invited to camp. "Which guy is he?" "Well, we don't know anything about him, but you watch him."
They had these one-on-one drills we were doing with wide receiver DBs.
So I went over to his drill, and it was a one-on-one drill with quarterbacks, receivers, and corners.
And I started kind of in a line where I didn't feel like the guys were that talented. And so after I kind of shut down everybody there, I moved to the next line.
And he's just locking down everybody. And then when he'd get done, he'd go back to the front of the line and push everyone aside and go again.
Some of the DBs would hesitate to go with some of the better receivers, so I just cut them.
And then he'd go find the best receiver, might be a guy we were recruiting, and he'd go lock him down.
When it was my turn, I just competed. I wasn't trying to earn a scholarship, wasn't trying to impress anybody. I just wanted to compete.
And I said, "We got to find out who this guy is."
He pulled me to the side and he's like, "Yeah, you might be the best corner, in the nation."
And before he left campus, we offered him a scholarship. We didn't know if he was 9-star, 2-star, 3-star, it didn't matter.
And I left that camp with a scholarship offer. People think that I, went and it was just like I grasped the moment and prepared myself. I was just playing ball. And so when I got there as a freshman, people say, "You're a 3-star recruit, you're gonna go there, ride the bench for 4 years." But for me, I'm like, it's Ohio State, which means I'll be going against the best every day. They play all of these huge games, so I'll be going against the best talent in the country. That sounds like where I wanna be. I wanna compete against the best.
Lobs it long on the right side, intercepted Jenkins at his own 45. Jenkins left side to the 50, to the 40 of Penn State, down the sideline to the 30, to the 20, Jenkins, to the 10, to the house.
Well, Malcolm Jenkins, as you know, is business. He didn't care whether or not anyone knew his name. He's there to do a job. But preparation and mentally and intensity, that's what puts him a cut above. There was a tradition of preparation at Ohio State. Malcolm carried on that tradition and maybe then some. He was not going to be outdone. He was not going to be outworked. Every free moment, he was in the film room.
When I got to college, I already enjoyed watching tape, but I think one of the most impactful things when it came to film was like learning how to evaluate myself. I said, I want to win a Jim Thorpe. I want to be the best DB Ohio State's ever seen. And so I started seeing, well, if I want to be great and be the best, then I got to not only do this, but do it better.
I remember one time he picked off a jailbreak screen and he took it back to the house. And I remember him talking in the post game. He said, "I knew exactly by the split of the guy that was going to do the blocking that's the play that was coming up because I'd studied them so hard." And I can't recall who it was against, but I bet you if you ask him, he would know who that was against.
It was Penn State.
And what the split difference was.
It was into the boundary on the left sideline. I knew it was going to be a quick throw, and I was where the receiver was supposed to be because I've seen him run the route 1,000 times.
You just smiled because it was nothing the coaches did. It was his preparation, and that's what makes him so good, and that's why he's got Super Bowl rings from 2 different teams.
When the draft came, he wanted to do something small with family and friends, and I kind of had a family and friends of about 200 people.
I wanted to just watch it in the backyard, but my mom put together this whole big event with a program and everything.
The coaches spoke, Pop Warner, high school coaches, his brothers came up with a rap song, and it was really nice.
The New Orleans Saints select Malcolm.
And then I got, the call that I was going to be sent to the New Orleans Saints. So we won a Super Bowl my rookie year, come out of the gate on an all-time high, make the playoffs the next 2 years. And then 2012, it just didn't work out. We were the worst defense in NFL history. I think we gave up the most yards ever. Pro Football Focus rated me like the worst safety in the league. At that point in time, I started really doubting myself as a player, just kind of doubting the trajectory of my career. The season ended and just never heard anything. And so when free agency opened, I was like, well, I guess I'm going somewhere else. And literally within seconds of free agency opened up, the Eagles called. And so I was excited when I got here. It definitely added to the chip I had on my shoulder. Even coming and hearing the Eagles fans talk about, how they wanted other people when the other safeties. I knew it was an opportunity for me to kind of recreate where I was going as a player and where my career was going.
For the Philadelphia Eagles.
In college and with the Saints and with the Eagles, the experience of who is this Malcolm Jenkins guy, we could have done better. He saw that. Who is this? Why didn't we pick so-and-so? And when we came to the Eagles, it was, why didn't we get Bird? So he's been through that a few times, having to show who he is.
Malcolm Jenkins somehow comes up with it.
Wow. It's intercepted by Jenkins. Cuts back at the 30. Jenkins takes it in for a touchdown.
Wherever he went, they were going to get somebody who was driven to winning and would do what needs to be done. And ultimately, they were going to win a Super Bowl. I mean, that's the single focus. He wants to win.
Not everyone is like Malcolm Jenkins. He has a passion for football. He loves that game, he loves that city, but he wasn't going to limit himself to just being a football player. You get into the NFL and you're getting all that adulation and all that money, and you can just do whatever you want to do. What he wants to do is to do for others. Everyone else is taking Tuesday off to lick their wounds. He's traveling with a group of guys to go to the NFL and talk about how the NFL can be a better difference maker. That's what makes him so special.
What fuels me is just, a desire to give back. Everything to me seems bigger than me. I never want to be somebody who was given a whole lot and could have made a huge impact but just didn't because I was too selfish or too lazy. For me, I'm constantly driven by that desire to have a real impact. On the field or in anything else, I'm driven by competition. I want to be remembered as the best safety to ever put on the Eagles green, but also I want to be known as one of the most influential, not only Eagles, but athletes that's blessed the city. And so hopefully, I can be an example of just how much athletes can embody and how much there is out there for athletes to affect not only the game and their team, but entire communities and in turn this world.
On the field, Rodney McLeod's job description is to protect the back of the defense. Off the field, in its clothing business, the name makes sense. Back of house. It's Rodney McLeod, his clothing line, and how he looks good, and he can make you look good too.
Hi, I'm Rodney McLeod. We're here at Pentagon City Mall, and welcome to Back of House. So when you coming in here, you're looking for a little bit of flavor, something that's a little more outgoing, that could be a little flashy. That's how I like to dress. What really drove me to opening Back of House was I wanted my style to be seen. And I think this is a great representation of what my style is. The way I dress is all determined on, how I feel each and every day. Some of my favorite pieces in the store has to be this bomber right here. So it's a brand called Represent, based out of the UK. Great feel. One, the material is light. You would think, you can wear a bomber in the summertime, but the material is so light. A nice summer evening, 75-degree weather, man, it's perfect. Sweats kind of came back in style a few years back, and people are getting clever with the style each and every day. And it just has a great fit, and if you want to just be stylish but also be relaxed, this is a great fit for you. I would say, my guy Malcolm Jenkins did inspire me a little bit as he opened DeMar Seville. Just seeing what he does on and off the field and how he's able to dedicate his time, but still, be effective on the field, which is, obviously his first job. But secondly, everything that he does in the community, but also building a brand like DeMar Seville and making his impact felt in the Philadelphia community. And obviously, we all know, he's very stylish, as well as myself. Probably would say we got to be, the best best tandem in general on the field, but then off the field, like, I don't think anybody is touching our closets. It's very hard to separate your own personal style with what fits with our customer and everyday client that shops here. So it's always like, hey, you might see something that you might want in your closet, but not necessarily that's going to be right, you know what I'm saying, based on who comes in. But we want to be known, you know, in New York, in Los Angeles, in Philadelphia. We're working hard to get to that point. We obviously have a lot of work to do, but the ultimate goal, man, is to be known globally, and you know, anything is possible.
The Eagles and the Giants renew their rivalry on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. The Eagles, of course, beating New York earlier this season at MetLife Stadium. In our old school All-22, when we return to Inside the Eagles, Merrill Reese and Mike Quick will talk about a game, the Eagles and the Giants. Chad Lewis coming up big for the Eagles.
Hi, everyone. I'm Merrill Reese, along with Michael Anthony Quick, and welcome to Old School All-22. Mr. Quick, Eagles and the Giants. We've had some beauties over the years, and one occurred on 2001 at the Vet.
See, one of the most prolific receivers at the tight end position that's ever played in Philadelphia, Chad Lewis. This is one of the games where I thought he was at his very best. On 3rd and goal from the 5-yard line, the Eagles came out in 11 personnel with 1 back, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers. One of those receivers, Freddie Mitchell, lined up in the backfield and motioned outside just before the snap. This helps to remove a defender from the middle of the field, creating less traffic in the passing lane. Chad Lewis is lined up to the left, and he's being covered man-to-man by linebacker Michael Barrow. He's going to run a bit of a glance route right down the seam. And with 1 DB already taken out of the picture by the pre-snap motion, only 1 remains with the safety on the far hash. The ball is snapped, and McNabb executes a perfect pump fake to the right, moving the safety out of the middle. This helps to create a perfect throwing lane for Lewis to run through for the touchdown. From the end zone angle, you can see Lewis execute a perfect jab step release, selling an outside move before cutting inside, crossing Barrow's face and knifing in for a score. Now fast forward to late in the game. With less than 2 minutes left and the Eagles down by a touchdown, Lewis is the only tight end on the field. And again, he's matched up on Michael Barrow. This time, no pump fakes needed, as McNabb pulls the trigger early and trusts that Lewis will pull this pass in for a touchdown in the back of the end zone. This is a pinpoint accurate throw from number 5. But look at the release from Lewis. Again, he tries to stutter outside and come back inside off the snap. But Barrow sits on the move this time, refusing to be beat with the same release in the same game. So Chad rides him down the seam, gets on top of the defender, and gets his head back to find the ball to tie the game. The Giants went 3 and out, and David Akers won the game with the 35-yard field goal with just 7 seconds left on the clock.
Inside the Eagles is brought to you by McDonald's, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles, and by Rothman Institute at Jefferson, the official orthopedic and healthcare partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. One of the pleasant surprises of this 2018 season has been the performance of punter Cam Johnston, who, of course, last week gained attention for his tackle in the open field. No, Cam has done a very nice job replacing longtime punter Donnie Jones. And in this week's Geico Ask An Eagle, Cam Johnston is the featured player.
At Hayden Pete 59 asks, did you learn your stick tackling skills from rugby? So I play Australian football. It's pretty similar to rugby, but that's what I would have learned. It's not exactly rugby, but yeah.
It's the Eagles and the Giants on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. The Eagles need a win to get back into the race in the NFC East, the first of 3 games against division opponents. We thank you for joining us on Inside the Eagles, and make sure you're with us on PhiladelphiaEagles.com and our official app the entire day on Sunday as we follow the Eagles and the Giants. Thanks, everyone. Have yourselves a great Eagles day, and fly, Eagles, fly.